Music is one of the best forms of expression, especially when you're the one making it. Although a program like FL Studio can seem intimidating when you're first starting off, exporting your first song is such a rewarding feeling. 9 years ago, when I was in the 8th grade, I started using FL Studio on a regular basis. I fell in love with creating music, and a few years after I began, I decided to release the music I made on the internet. Now I've made music my career with almost 100K monthly listeners on Spotify and a new song every month on the 25th. This is what my music sounds like. Just like you, I had to start somewhere. However, unlike you, I was too stubborn to watch tutorials when they would have saved me a lot of time. So kudos to you for finding this video, because I'm gonna show you how to start making music in FL Studio if you're a complete beginner. Now, a bit of a disclaimer, this video is just to help you get started. Everything I'm about to explain is what I feel is essential to make music, but there's a lot more to music production, mixing, and mastering than what we're about to go over. I have a ton of videos on music production, so make sure to subscribe to keep learning. First things first, let's save this project so we don't lose any of our progress. Woo! All right, now we're gonna go over actually how to make sounds in FL Studio. To do this, we have to open the channel rack from the top right corner of the toolbar. Now that we're here, let's start making a pattern. FL Studio is kind enough to start us off with a few rows of drum samples in the channel rack, so we'll just use these for now. Each one of these rows is the same, so don't get intimidated. Once you understand how one row works, you'll understand how every row works. If we click on the name, FL Studio Sampler opens up where we can mess around with the sample and preview how it sounds. On the right next to the name is the step sequencer. The step sequencer is how we actually start making a beat. You'll notice that the step sequencer is divided into groups of 4, and that's because each group is equal to one beat. Each step is equal to a quarter of a beat. If we lay out a few steps and click play, you'll hear the pattern we just made, but make sure you're in the pattern mode instead of the song mode, or else you won't hear it. Now you can start laying out different sounds to make a more complex drum beat. Let's start making some chords, because chords are the foundation to any song. If you don't know what chords are, they're essentially just 3 or more notes played at the same time. To do this, I'm gonna make a new pattern by clicking the plus at the top of the toolbar and naming it something different than my previous pattern. Don't worry, we can always go back to the previous pattern through the pattern picker on the left. Since we only have drums loaded up, we need to bring in some new sounds. Click the arrow on the top left of the channel rack, click add one, then choose from the array of sound generators FL Studio has to offer. I'm gonna use FL Keys for this example. Now that it's loaded up, we can customize the settings to make it sound however we want, but I'm just gonna leave it as it is. Now go back to the channel rack, right click FL Keys and click piano roll. Now we just opened up what is essentially the step sequencer, but for melodic sounds. We can lay down the notes and change the length by clicking and dragging. Once you have some chords that you're happy with, click play to hear what you've just created. Again, make sure it's in pattern mode and not song mode. Now let's work on getting the drums and chords to play together. To do this, we'll need to use the playlist. To open the playlist, click the playlist button on the top right of the toolbar. The playlist is essentially our timeline, allowing us to arrange our song by laying out the patterns we just made in any order we want. If I select our drum pattern from the pattern picker and click on the timeline, we can place as many drum patterns as we want to extend the length of our song. I'm gonna start the song with drums, and then a few bars later add in the chords by selecting our chord pattern and laying them down. Now select song mode and click play to hear the song we've just made. If you feel like the song is too fast or slow, we can change the speed of the song by clicking and dragging the BPM at the top. All right, these drums suck, so let's switch them out. The column on our very left is the browser. If it's not showing up, click the browser icon from the toolbar. If you click on packs, FL Studio gives you a bunch of different sounds to choose from, but if you ever get bored of them, you can always install your own. Once you find a sound you like, go to the channel rack and click and drag that sample on top of the sound you want to replace. If you don't want to replace any sounds, but still want to add the sound to your pattern, click and drag the sample on an empty spot underneath your other sounds. I think the chords are too plain and loud, so let's start tweaking things. Go to the box next to FL Keys on the channel rack and click and drag until it says 5. I'll explain what this means soon. Now go to the top right of FL Studio and open the mixer. The mixer is where we can control the individual elements of our song to balance the sound in any way we like. The reason why we set FL Keys to 5 is because that number pertains to where that sound is routed on the mixer. 1, 2, 3, and 4 are already set for the kick, clap, snare, and hi-hats, but if you wanted to change that, you could. Each one of these mixer channels does the exact same thing, so once you know how one works, you'll know how all of them work. Since the keys are too loud, let's adjust the volume by moving the fader down a bit. This sounds good, but I think we can make it even better. If we go to the first slot on the mixer channel and click on the arrow, there's a bunch of different effects to choose from. I'm gonna add Fruity Reverb too. Now our piano has a reverb effect. You can hear that the drums don't have any reverb. This is because the effects on these slots only pertain to this one mixer channel. What we just did is called mixing, and this is the basis to getting a song sounding balanced and professional. Once you're satisfied with your song, go to the top left corner, click export and select MP3 or WAV file. Boom! Congrats. You just made your first song. Now let's upload that song to Spotify. I'm being serious. With DistroKid, you can easily upload unlimited amounts of music to major streaming services like Spotify and Apple Music for as little as $20 a year. DistroKid is a music distribution service tailored to independent artists with various features to help you craft your music career, such as promo cards and hyperfollow. I've been using DistroKid ever since 2017, and I can wholeheartedly say they're the best distributor out there. because they make releasing music so much less complicated than it is to actually produce the music. So feel free to use my referral link in the description for 7% off your first year of DistroKid, and watch this video to learn how to actually record your voice and instruments into FL Studio. Thank you DistroKid for sponsoring this video. Thank you so much for watching. Show your genius.